Welcome. This video is about pivot tables. Outside of formulas, pivot tables are the most useful thing to glean information from spreadsheets. And here's an example. Follow along if you can. We're going to work on this bit of data right here. So first we want to go to the Insert tab and choose Pivot Table. We have a choice to have a select table or range or use an external data source. We want to be sure it's set to select a table or range, and the blinker is right there, so we can select it. If the blinker wasn't there, we'd have to select that area. Now we've got a choice between New Worksheet and Existing Worksheet. And since I want to be able to see the data, I'm going to choose Existing Worksheet, but I'm going to pick right here. And it's good to check the address to make sure it has the full address in here. I've got PT1, which is right down here. And I also have B15, which is this is B15. But sometimes when you click on it, the full address doesn't come in, so you want to make sure and check it. So we've got everything right. We've got the table range, and we've got where the pivot table will go. And click OK. And this is where the pivot table will go. It's based on the information that we put in it from this area right here. If I were to select Sport, which is this column, since it is non-numeric, it will go into the rows category. And so will quarter. If I were to select Sales, it will automatically go into the Values area and it will sum them. So let's pick Sport. You can see it went right in there. And let's pick Sales. And you can see that it went right there. If I wanted to get rid of it, I can either click right here, or I could have clicked the down arrow, and one of the choices is remove the field. Now, as you can see, this is non-numeric, so it went into the rows category, but if I wanted to, I could put it in the categories. So how I do that is I select it and drag it over, hold down the left key, and you can see golf, tennis, it's now a column. I'm going to click on Sales again, and you can see that we have here, let me see if I can make this a little better. We can see golf is here, 9,930. And if we were to check right here and hold down the Control key, you can see right down here, 9,930. So it got it right. When you click on the pivot table fields returns. So if you ever can't find it, that's the way to find one way to find it. Now I'm going to move this back to rows. And that's actually easier to read. And sometimes you just have to play with things to see how does it read the easiest. We're going to add one more field. Let's add quarter. So now we have golf with third and fourth quarter and tennis with third and fourth quarter. And if you want to, this got a little minus sign right here. So you can click the minus sign and it gets rid of all the extra information. So go ahead and click that minus sign and make your table look like that. And let's just say we want to know about golf, we don't care about tennis, so we're going to click on that. And we just have the total for tennis, but we have it broken down for golf into third and fourth quarters. And now click the plus sign for tennis. And you can see the third and fourth quarter appeared. Well, let's suppose we want to organize this information based on the quarter and not on the sport. We want the quarter to be primary and the sport to be secondary. The way to do that, there's more than one way. We can go to where the quarter is over here and drag it up so it's on top, or drag sport down is one way to do it. Or we could have clicked the down arrow, and that gives us a choice to move it up or down. So now we have the quarters on top. In the third quarter, we have the totals for golf and tennis, and we have the totals for in the fourth quarter too. Another way of looking at it, we can drag sport over to columns. And so now we have it broken into rows for the third quarter and fourth quarter, and golf and tennis for the columns. And we can reverse that. Let's take sport and put it over here, and quarter and put it over there. So now we have it listed as third and fourth quarter, and golf and tennis are the rows. Let's put it everything back into rows. So I'm going to drag it over. Now suppose we want to know how many entries there are in each group. We can do that over here in the values area. So what I can do, where it says sum of sales, I'm going to click the down arrow and at the very bottom choice it says value field settings. I'm going to click that and it went to sum automatically. I can choose count and click OK, and you can see that it counted the number. So there were 2 in the third quarter, 1 in the fourth quarter. The subtotal is right here. And we have 2 and 2 and the subtotal here, and the grand total is down here at the bottom. So you have the choice to make that a count instead of a sum. I'm going to click the down arrow key over here, and I am going to change the value field settings to, I could change it to average and so on. I'm going to put it back to sum. Sum is the most common, and put that in there. There's another way to get a sum. So suppose you wanted the amount over here, but you also wanted a count of the individual numbers. Another way to do that is to drag, for example, sport into the values, and since it is non-numeric, it will automatically count. So I'm going to take sport right up here and drag it into the values category, and you can see it did the count of sport. So that's another way. Sometimes if you have just last names of a person or some other variable that's non-numeric and you want to count, just put that one in there and we'll give you the count. And I can change the order of these. So I've got sum of sales on top and count of sport on the bottom. Let's just switch those. I can click the down arrow right here and say move down, and you can see how it switched. So now count of sport is here and sum of sales is here. Now suppose I wanted to filter some of the information. Let's just say I only want the third quarter. I'm not interested in the fourth quarter. I can come right here and click the down arrow and say I only want third quarter right there. We'll click OK, and we got rid of everything except for the third quarter. We'll click on this again. You can see right there, there is the filter symbol, which means that the quarter data is filtered. Let's come back here and let's just say, no, I want the fourth quarter, not the third quarter. We'll click OK. And so now we have the fourth quarter values for golf and tennis. There's another way to do this. Let's just take the quarters and put it in the filter category. And now we have this extra symbol right up here. So we can click on this filter symbol and be sure it says select multiple items. If you have several items to do, you can do that. That's mostly useful for when you have a long list and you want more choices than all or nothing. So I'm going to go back to where I only want quarter 3, and I'm going to click OK, and these are only third quarter values. You can see right up there third quarter values. You can see right here that the information is filtered. Well, I want to get rid of the filter, so I'll click on it, and I'm going to take this out and remove the field. And it's gone. Another thing has to do with appearance. Suppose you are finished with it and you want to make sure it looks right for your presentation. So what we want to do is come up here where it says Analyze. You have Analyze and Design are two contextual menus that you get once you select the pivot table. And right here where it says Show, the Show section is these three categories right here. Suppose I want to check out the field, but I don't want this list thing, right? This field list right there. I can click this and it goes away, even though I'm still selected on the pivot table. I can go here and bring it back. And now the rest of this has to do with appearance. So I can get rid of the field headers, and you can see that kind of cleaned things up a little bit. Now I'm going to put quarter in here, and there's one other way to clean it up. As you can see, this has a little minus sign right here, and this has a minus sign. When I want to clean it up for my final presentation, what I can do is come over here to Show and click this button right here where it's the plus and minus, and it got rid of that. So what I'm saying is you can clean up how it looks right before you present it. Another choice is Design. We can come over to the Design tab and say I want this instead, or this, all sorts of designs. And if you wanted to, you can actually select it, go to the Home tab and say, oh, I want that background. So this is the basic way to get started with it. There is one other thing that's very important to know about pivot tables. They do not automatically update. So in other words, if I were to change this tennis from 4,070 and I'm going to change it to 7, there is no change right here. So in order to make it change, I have to refresh the table. I have to manually refresh it. So how I will do that is I will select it and come to, let's see, the Analyze page, and where it says Refresh, that should do it. And we can see that our total down here is 12600. That should change now that we've updated it, and you can see that it did right there to 8537. But I had to click refresh to do it. There's also another way, another option where you can have it automatically refresh as soon as you open a workbook. And we'll talk about that next. This might vary on different versions of Excel, but here's one way to do it. We've selected on here, we want to go to the pivot table and choose options. So the main thing is to look for options. And this opens a dialog box. From here, we want to go to Data. And under Data, where it says Refresh Data when opening the file, you definitely want to click that so that it updates. So just to go over that again, you go to Pivot Tables, choose Options, and Data, and then choose Refresh Data when opening the file. I'm going to click it and then click OK. So now every time I change it, it will update the information. But there's one way it will not update. Suppose I was to come right here and I wanted to add another row. I have a new category, let's just say basketball, and I'm going to say it's the third quarter, and let's just say 200. And we can't see it, so well, there you can see it. Hold on. Okay, so we have this added here, and if I were to click refresh, it will not include this. So what I would have to do, so I'm going to click refresh. I want to show you that we're not going to have a new category here. So I'm going to go to Analyze, Design, refresh, and it didn't change. It did not include that. So what we're going to have to do is change the data source. So I want to click the down arrow, change data source, and you can see the marching ants don't go all the way around. We're going to drag so it comes down to here, and we'll click OK. And you can see now we have a new category, basketball, third quarter, $200. So it changed the amount. It changed several things. One of the nice things about working with a table is that you wouldn't have to change the data source. If you have this data in a table and you click refresh and you add rows to it, it will automatically update. So if this were, for example, a table, and now if I were to add a row, let's say this is a new sport. Okay, I'm going to make this quarter, second quarter, and we're going to make it 500. And now if I were to refresh this table, come to Analyze and refresh, okay, so we're missing it. We put refresh, it's not there. The problem is that quarter is filtered. So you want to come over here and select that, and we can see that quarter 2 is not in there. We only have quarter 3. So we're going to add that, and now it popped right in there. So when things don't work the way you think they should, check to make sure if something's been filtered out. So those are some of the basics of pivot tables. Thank you.